Hey guys, so we're continuing on with using shapes with Adobe Illustrator. So I've gone ahead and I'm going to go ahead and just open up my normal web large 1920 by 1080 canvas. I'll press create, and we're going to be using a couple different tools here that are going to help us to kind of see, see a few things in Photoshop here. So we'll start off by making a little square here. So grab your rectangle tool, hold down Shift, and just make this little rectangle. And I'm going to go ahead and hit Fill, and I'm going to choose, say, a little dark blue, just because that's me. And I'll just take the stroke off. So make sure the stroke is off. Stroke should be off for all these projects up until we get to the lines. And I'm going to rotate this. I'm going to hold down Shift while I rotate it, and I'll just rotate, snap it to 45 degrees. And I'll just grab my move tool, hold on the Alt key, and just drag it forward, say a few maybe pixels here. In this case, I think like 82 pixels or so. I'm gonna select both of these. I'll get my shape wheel tool. I'll hold on Alt. I'll get rid of this. No Windows. Alt and Alt. There you go. Cool. We get this little kind of less than symbol here, and I'm gonna grab my rectangle tool. I'm just sort of maybe grab a little rectangle like this. I'm gonna grab a little rectangle like this. So like so. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my little move tool. I'm going to select both of these. I'm going to change their color. Say, for instance, say red or pink in this case. And I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to go to Object. I'm going to click on Group. And you can do this a number of ways. You can right-click on it. You can press Group as well. In this case, Ungroup. Right-click, Group, right? Or you can press Control-G on the keyboard. I'll group them. The reason why I'm doing this is because I want these to stay equidistant. I want them to stay apart. And I'm going to select everything here. I'm going to sort of center this vertically. That way they're the same distance apart, so we have a symmetrical looking arrow here. When I go to my shape tool, and I just get rid of all this, hold on the Alt key, drag this through, Alt key, drag it through, and I have this little, less than symbol that has a little flat edge on the side. Okay, so the reason why we're doing this is because we want to create a sort of arrow-shaped kind of arc here, sort of an arc of arrows that might, you could see any number of places here. And I'm going to just drag this over this way. I'm just going to hold down Alt, I'm going to drag it over this way. And I'm going to put them on opposite ends of the spectrum. I'm going to change one to a different color. I might change one to, say, for instance, like a bright orange color, right? And hopefully that'll go through the different, that'll be different enough for this next little thing. What we'll do right here is I'm going to select both of these. And let's go over here. So grouping is a tool that can put these together to form like a little thing that you can manipulate in different areas here. But in this case, I'm going to go to Object. I'm going to find this little thing. It's called Blend. I'm going to find Blend. I'm going to find Make, and you might see something like this happen. You might see something totally different, right? You might see just a whole smear of color that goes from one to the other. If you go to Object and you go to Blend and click on Blend Options, now you have a few more things to do. So in this case, Smooth Color. You notice what the Blend tool does. The Blend tool basically takes object, whatever it is you've got, if it's a line, if it's a shape, if it's any number of things, and it simply it takes two shapes and it goes from one to the other, and if there's any difference at all, what it does is it approximates, say, the steps in between each one of those shapes. If you were to say morph it into the different shape, it might go in individual ways, but in this case the only difference is their color. So it's going through different colors. So in this case I've got smooth color applied. If I wanted to go to, say, for instance, specified steps, what I could do is I could move this up or down. I'll hit on preview here, and I can add more of these little arrows to it that can create more and more of a sort of smear of color up until they become just a pure gradient here with only small differences between them to denote where they go. So in this case, I might choose, say, for instance, 10. I'll just choose that for now. Now I'm going to grab, for orientation, I'm going to grab this little tool here. That's not going to do anything right now, but you will see, well, we're going to do this in a second here. Okay, I'm going to put this aside for now. Just grab this over this way. And you notice that it works, it just acts as if its own little thing. If I were to, say, for instance, like rotate it, it rotates, but it's not, I can't individually grab these little guys here. What I'm looking at is not a series of shapes. What I'm looking at is a kind of a function, as it were. So this is simply has this thing applied to it, and I can't change it unless I release that. And we'll get into how we do that a little bit later. But one thing I'm going to do right here is I'm going to grab a circle, ellipse tool. I'm going to draw a big old circle here. And I'm going to pull this in the middle, as it were. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. And I'm going to go over here to my fill. I'm going to get my fill, take it away for now. All I see is that. And I'm going to find this tool over here. It looks like a pair of scissors. You can press C on the keyboard to find it here a little bit easier. Let's find here. Where's the scissors at? Where'd they go? Maybe it's, okay, you might see a little X-Acto knife. You hold that down. So you hold that down. No, it's not that. Okay, I have a hard time finding my scissors here. Where'd they go? All right, I'm just press C on the keyboard. Okay, there's my scissors. Right. You might see an eraser tool. If you hold that down, you'll see the eraser. But if you C on the keyboard, you can find your scissors. I'm gonna make a little. Basically what this does is it basically just cuts paths. So I'm gonna click on this anchor point here. I'm gonna click on this anchor point here, and now what we've got are two separate paths that can be altered, sort of like independently of one another. So in this case, I'm just, you know, if I were just to see these, I could just put a little stroke on them, just so I could see them better. A little bit higher. All right, so that way, so I'm going to put this on the side here. All right, what happened there was I double clicked on it and entered what's called isolation mode, and that has a lot of uses to it. But I'm going to pull this to the side for now. You click the little gray bar to get out of isolation mode. I'm going to grab this. I might shrink these down slightly. All right, and I'll just drag this down here, and I'm just going to select both this curve and this blend. I'm going to go to Object, I'm going to go to Blend, and I'm going to go to Replace Spine. And you can see now we've got this little sort of curve thing here. Now, in this case, I'm not sure I really enjoy how these sort of interfere with one another. The little points start to overlap on the inside, so I'm going to go to Object, Blend Options, and I'm going to reduce that number down a couple times, hit Preview here. Maybe like to like 8 or so. Yeah, let's get better. 7, 6, 7. I like 7 better. There's a few things here or there that like the distance don't quite. I don't like the distance here because I think they're measuring from like the very center of it. But that's okay. I mean, that's fine for now. I'll press OK. All right. So I'll just drag this over here and I'll just move to the side, and I'll just go ahead and just get rid of this. Well, yeah, let's get rid of this now. All right, so let's just kind of move this to the side right here. We'll just drag this down. Okay, so that's one little blend. All right, let's do another little blend. Okay, let's create a series of blends. Let's actually make a. Let's do this. Let's take our star tool. Let's click once. Let's hold down Shift and drag out a star. It's going to create this classic 5-pointed star here. And I'm going to give it a little color and. Pull this down here, and I'm going to grab my L on the keyboard here. I'm going to make a little circle. That's about the same size. And I'm going to drag that to the other side of the screen here. And I'll separate these. I might make a little bit smaller. I'll just drag this over here. Okay, so these are both centered. Let me center these. Okay, so with that done, I can just select both these. Once again, go to Object, Blend, and Make. As you can see here, what we've got going on are a series of like shapes that are sort of like morphing into a circle. Now, once again, I'm going over to Object, Blend, and Blend Options. Once again, I'm still on Smooth Color. Specified steps, I can sort of increase the number of shapes in between. I can see more of a change here. Let me get a preview on the keyboard. Right here, and press OK. Now in this case, I can't quite see where one ends and it begins, so I'm going to go over here. I'm going to double click on it, go to isolation mode, and I'm going to be able to sort of click on this guy and sort of drag him away, like so, which allows me to get more space. As you can see, this star is morphing into this circle here. Now, what's fun about this is if I wanted to, say, for instance, grab any of these individual shapes here to do something with, what I can do here is I can go to Object, and I click on Expand. And what Expand does, essentially, it takes this little effect and it morphs them into different little strokes. At this point, this is already one sort of united series of paths. I just go over here to Ungroup, where I can right-click on it and say Ungroup, and that way what I can do is I can grab each individual shape, as it were. That's a little shape there. So I might just kind of move that to the side. I'll just move it, let me see it up a little bit. In fact, I'll just move this up. So go ahead and try to take every other little shape there and see if you can move it away, just so we know that you've released this little pattern here. So this is one that went right here. All right, last thing we'll do with the blend tool is we will do a little size variation here. I'm going to grab my ellipse tool. I'm going to make a little circle. I might just pull this off to the side just so I can see this. This doesn't matter where it is. And I'm going to drag this way over here, and I'm going to say, for instance, shrink this down to be itty bitty, like so. And I'll just select all this. I'll go once again to Object, and I'll go to Blend, and I'll go to Make. And you can see we have a series of circles here. Now, once again, I'm going to go to Object. I'm going to go to Blend and Blend Options. And I'm going to change once again to Specified Steps. And I'll drag this down, say, for instance, maybe 4, maybe 3. So now we've got these 4 circles here of varying sizes. I'm going to go to Object. I'm going to go to Blend. I'm going to go to, rather, Expand. I'll click on Object to Expand. And Object and Fill. We'll go ahead and ungroup these. And from here, what we'll do is I'm going to change all of these to, say, for instance, 20% opacity here. And I'm going to center all of them like so, which gives us this fun little sort of glowing sun kind of shape. Maybe at the very center, I'll bring this up to like full opacity. So and a little sunny little blur, little step blur here. So these are fun little things you can do with the blend tool. The blend tool is a very powerful tool. Let's actually do one more. Let's do one more here. Let's actually do this over here. Let's actually grab our circle tool and let's create this little circle. Let's actually grab our tool here. Let's pull this way. Alt, drag that down, and let's get our shape builder tool. Hold on the Alt key, just drag that through, and have this little thing here. In fact, maybe what we can do is grab a little rectangle as well, and just sort of slide on top of that. And what I'll do here is I will select both of these, and Shift M to get the shape builder tool. Alt, drag through. Now we got this. Okay, so we've got that, and maybe what I'll do is I'll just grab my rectangle tool. Once again, go to the other side of the canvas here. Draw a little skinny rectangle, and we'll just have those side by side. So now we've got a couple different things happening here. It gets narrower, it gets thinner, it gets shorter, all these different things here. Once again, Object, Blend, Make. Hey, look at that. That's really fun. So maybe this this is a sort of approximation of a lens, get into different levels of concavity and stuff. And let's go over here to our fill, and what's fun about this is we can actually even add, like for instance, we go over here to our swatches. We can add in a gradient, and what's fun about the gradient is the gradient kind of overlays on everything. That's kind of neat too. All right, so there we go. Let's make sure everything here is inside this artboard. I'll shrink this down some. I'll pull this in. Oops. Let's just go ahead and group this. Right click on it, group. That way I can click on any part of it. The whole thing comes down. Right, so that's the blend tool. Basically what the blend tool does is it creates a pattern of objects that basically blend the 2 objects into one continuous sort of pattern to create a variety of effects. And you can do a number of things with them. You can alter the way they look in terms of how the shape goes, how the blend goes. You can expand them, and you can pick and choose out different little shapes. If you wanted to create like a little gradient, and you could, for instance, wanted to sample the different colors, you could do that as well. And you can create a variety of little effects here. So this is the blend tool here. Go ahead and put your name on it somewhere. Get your text tool here, a little T on the keyboard, and I'll just put Labello. And we'll just grow this out a little bit here. And yeah, very fun. Neat stuff. All right, go to File, go to Export. Go to Export for Screens. Make sure we're using Export for Screens. Make sure this is set as a JPEG for now, and call this Blend Tool, and export the artboard. Very neat. All right, we'll see you guys in class. Can't wait to see you guys produce.